Yep, I'm being a clown today. Merry Christmas Eve. Soon's gonna be the time. Santa's gonna come, drop off all of his presents. Can't wait for it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Jesse talks all things TDCJ and military. I'm your host, Jesse. Today, I'm being the Christmas clown. Why? Man, it's been a hellish couple of days. Last night, it got down to about 14 degrees outside. Real feel, -1. Man, I'm from Southeast Texas. I ain't used to this kind of weather. It's hitting us hard right now. Everything's frozen outside. The wind got up to about 45 miles per hour. Limbs are blown down. Shit in the yards everywhere. You know what? I don't care. I'm staying right inside the house. I'm hibernating. Got a big pot of gumbo getting ready to cook. Yeah, Christmas gumbo. Southeast Texas, right on the Louisiana border. Still got my roots. We're going to be doing that. I got all kinds of Christmas movies playing on downstairs. We're going to have some music going later on. Got a couple of beers set up to the side. Until then, I'm going to entertain you guys. Man, I hope you guys are having just as great a day as I am. Shout out to everyone. Ash, Emmy, hope everything's going good. Kathleen, Tina, James, Jeremy. Man, I hope y'all are doing great. Merry Christmas to you. Annabelle over in the UK, shout out to you. Hope all's going good over there. I don't know what the traditions are like. Maybe you could tell me about it. I'm pretty sure they're similar. And as you guys can tell, I got my little hat on here. And I figured I'd decorate it up with a little bit. A little piece of memorabilia about the only thing that I have left over from the time that I worked at TDC. My little name tag here. Had a couple other things. They got packed up when it was time to move from Texas to Virginia. I got no idea where they are. Maybe I'll find them one day. Maybe I won't. Shout out to the two cats who have been commenting, talking about starting the academy here on the 25th. One thought it was the 25th. The other one said it was going to be the 28th. I guess that's Monday. I know today's the 24th. Anyway, whatever day they're starting. Hey guys, good luck to y'all. Congratulations on your career. Congratulations on getting hired. Keep us posted. Comment about how things are going. I'd like to hear how things are in the academy compared to when I went. Tell all your classmates and cadets about this channel. Have them go back to the early ones. They don't even have to like and subscribe. Just watch and see if it gives them any kind of benefit. That's the two things I'm here to do. Entertain, educate. That's 3 with my thumb sticking out. What are we going to talk about today? Well, I got a couple of topics I'd like to get into. Let's talk about Christmas in the penitentiary. Let's talk about it being freezing cold in the penitentiary. And let's talk about the what if kind of game. Looking back on the times that I worked, I was really thinking back about it. And I said, I never actually worked a physical Christmas day. The 24th and the 25th, I was not actually on shift for the 3 years that I was there. Somehow it ended up falling up on my 4-day shift. 4-day off shift. I didn't have to worry about getting called in because you had so many officers that would call in during the holiday times. They wanted to get that holiday time. Now, I had an individual who questioned the authenticity about did I actually work at TDC because I mentioned holiday pay, and they flamed back retortingly saying it's not pay, it's time. To me, that's semantics. When you get time to sit at home and still get paid, that's pay. I don't care how you slice it around it. If you're sitting at home and you're collecting a salary, that's the same thing as getting paid. You're just not having to physically work at the place. So whatever it is, I called it. I hate that I upset this individual. I truly am sorry about that. Ended up making it to the block list. Sorry, hate having to do that. That's where I was going with that. These individuals were going to get their extra time. They were looking to collect it. Most of them were single, didn't have families. They wanted to be there, wanted to be doing the thing. So there were two things. On the holidays, it could be easier for the CO working there. You didn't have to pull the guys out, take them to the day room. They did have to go to the shower. They got fed twice a day. You'd feed them once, you'd give them their extra food, and you were done with them. Pretty much at that point, you just had to hang out, do your thing, get ready for the shift to end. Let's pause for hydration here. Merry Christmas. All we need now are some chestnuts roasting over the fire. Those don't seem to be a thing here in Virginia. I know you can find them everywhere at Kroger back home, but I haven't been able to find them here. Where it could be miserable working in the penitentiary were the inmates who wanted to make life absolutely miserable. They didn't make merry themselves on Christmas. They wanted to make it miserable for everybody that was going to be around the area. They knew come close to that shift getting ready to end, it's time to start cutting up. Man, they would start beating, banging, hollering, flooding stuff, faking suicide. I didn't work an actual physical Christmas day at December 25th, but they would start cutting up the week before and the week after because they knew that some shifts weren't going to be there and they wanted to make sure that everybody got the miserable treatment. I don't mean they as in every single inmate. You had some individuals, they knew what Christmas was. They had observed it, they had lived it, they respected it. They were old school convict, they were going to treat it the way it was. And then you had little ass gangster thugs that just wanted to act up, cut up, and be a fool. And then you had the psych patients that because somebody else was acting out, they were going to act out. They just wanted to be a turd. They'd throw trays back at you, fake suicides, fake hanging, just anything they could to try to make things miserable. So that way when the boss man got off, boss lady got off, they were in just an absolute miserable mood on the way home. Telling you, these were some bad guys, and they just loved doing that shit. I dealt with it. Can't say too much more about it. I don't want this video to be all about that. Just know that it could be some bad times. Other than that, Christmas in the penitentiary, at least at Styles, man, it was just a normal day. Once you got past the warden's area, the admin building, they'd have a couple little decorations hanging up here and there. Once you got back in the area, down around 8 building, infirmary, SEG, 11 building, just a normal day. It just happened to be cold outside. And that's one that we're going to talk about. I did a whole video about the heat wave that set itself in on Texas and how hot the inmates could get. What was it like when it got cold in there? Well, SEG was fortunate enough, it had AC, it had heat. The AC was nice during the summertime. The wintertime, when they turned that heat on, good God, it would get so hot in there. It was worse working in the wintertime than it was in the summertime in there because that heat gets so bad. Not to mention we had to wear them damn stab vests, move everyone around. It wasn't too bad when the heat would go out. Problem was, when the heat would go out, here come the silverback gorillas. They beating and banging on the door. Boss man, hey, Mo, hey, we're gonna go get this heat fixed in here, boss man. Come on, man, this is some hot ass shit. Hey man, I'm sorry, I ain't the maintenance guy. You gotta write your you gotta write your I-60 form, figure out where, and then here they go. They start jacking the slots, making it tough, feeding trays. Just, I felt their pain. It was hotter in those cells than it was out on the runs where I was. Unfortunately, there wasn't anything I could do about it. You'd call in, put the request in, LT, Sarge, they'd note it, move on from there. Maintenance would get at it when they could. Who were the ones that were feeling the real pain? Me and all the other inmates I had to deal with. Man, it just was what it was. There wasn't anything I could do to make it any better for them, and they certainly weren't going to try to make it any better for me. Just had to do the best you could on it. Once they'd get the heat fixed, they would be fine because they're sitting in their cells running whatever kind of game they had to run. Me, I'm the one running around trying to move all the guys around. It was like walking both sides of a double-edged knife, I guess you could say, if I needed a metaphor for it. It could be pretty bad. The worst part, though, was waiting to get in the facility. I typically get there around 4:20, 4:30 in the morning. Hope you guys that are getting ready to hire on or listen to this, about 4:30 in the morning to be there for a 6:30 shift that starts. If you got there any later, the line would back all the way up outside the building. You had to get searched before you go in. Untuck the shirt, everything out of the pockets, pull the pockets of the pants out, take your boots off, take your belt off. Anything you brought in had to be searched. And there could only be, I think, 5 individuals. You had 2 doing pat down, 1 running the metal detector, x-ray scanner, and then 1 checking the ID card. So that small room would fill up pretty quick. They could only let 5 individuals in at a time. What sucked was when you got officer, I'm not even going to say it, who just wanted to sit and chat and bullshit and hang out with the dude patting them down while everyone else is standing outside, completely oblivious that they're holding everybody up from getting where they're supposed to be. I think you had some individuals that did that shit on purpose. In fact, I know there was, now that I'm talking about it. What are you doing in the meantime? You're standing outside in the line. It's freezing cold outside. None of these penitentiaries are in a nice part of town. They gave us this one jacket. We got it issued out in the academy. In fact, I'd love to hear from anybody who's coming into the academy now what they issue out nowadays. Sergeant Fish called this thing the squirrel skin jacket. He called it that because it was such thin skin on it. It looked like a green puffer coat. It had the TDCJ patch, it had the US flag patch on it, and it had the little furry collar like you see bomber jackets in older movies. It was big and thick. It was bulky. It was cumbersome. Problem is, it wasn't warm. The wind had just sliced right through that thing. And what you have to do with it once we got back in the building, you had to take it off because I got to have that stab vest on. So the jacket really didn't do you any kind of good. However, it was free. You could wear anything you wanted to. But if you were wearing something else besides the green jacket once you got in the facility, that had to come off. Yeah, you had to put that back in your car and then put the green squirrel skin jacket on to go in. That was for security staff. Non-security staff, the civilians, they could wear whatever the hell they wanted to. So you could wear your nice jacket outside. Now get out of line, walk all the way back to the car, put it up, put the squirrel skin on, come back. So needless to say, nobody wore anything else but the squirrel skin jacket, security staff-wise. So yeah, the cold could be pretty bad there. You just had to deal with it. Yeah, you just had to get through it. It could be depressing, but it's prison. It's not supposed to be an upbeat, upscale kind of an environment. Let's talk about the what if game. I had hinted about earlier in the week what that was going to be about, and it's a real good thing for brand new COs and veteran COs, even civilian staff, to do while they're in there when you find yourself with some downtime. They don't teach it in the academy. I didn't find out about it till I was week 2 of my OJT process when I was working in 11 building with a couple of lazy-ass officers who weren't doing anything. They weren't making the rounds that they were supposed to. Logs weren't getting filled out. They were just letting time pass. Supervisor was supposed to come in and make rounds of every building. Most of the time they did. Sometimes they missed out. This was second shift. I never worked the second shift. I never saw these individuals again. I'm pretty glad I didn't. They were lazy ass. There's a lot of them that work there. Not everyone. I'm not blanketing everybody. I'm simply calling out those 3 individuals. When you had downtime, you were supposed to make security rounds. You weren't supposed to just sit at the desk. 11 building had a picket, and it had a desk in an outside area. That was where you could fill out your paperwork, update your logs, take a little break, keep your water bottle, keep you a snack. Once you were done with that, you weren't supposed to hang out. You were supposed to move around, make security rounds, and check on everybody. You didn't move inmates around much in 11 building. I didn't work it much to really know its routine. In fact, I'm not going to say who he is. He knows who he is. Cap reminded me that it was a transient building, medical and transient building. It wasn't very difficult to work. It could be annoying. Once you had made all your rounds, you checked on everybody, made sure nobody was making any kind of bombs, pruno, weapons of mass destruction, committing suicide. You were just supposed to walk around and check on things. Make sure things are good. Make sure nobody's trying to Alcatraz burrow their way out through the walls. A lot of officers, I saw it a lot of times, they'd sit right at the desk and they'd wait till it was on top of the hour, get ready to move, or they'd wait all the way until the next count time called. They wouldn't go make their rounds. And that's just not right. That's not how it's supposed to be. And it was tough for me because I was a go-getter at the time. I wanted to be that guy. Peer pressure can be a motherfucker. And it was in this case. There's 3 of us. We're all sitting at the desk, hanging out. I didn't count for who was on shift. I was the OJT, so I didn't fall out and turn out with any of these guys. I didn't know who they were. They didn't know who I was. They weren't making any kind of effort whatsoever to try to show me anything, teach me anything, give me any kind of pointers. They were all there just shooting the shit, bullshitting with them, getting by, doing what they had to do. Basically, watch what I do what I say, don't ask any kind of questions. That kind of leadership. And it was bad. Anyway, we're doing our thing, sitting at the desk, hanging out. LT comes in. I remember the guy's face. Big dude. Big freaking dude. Not muscle. Big. Heavy set. He moved quick. He had a very good command presence. Don't know the guy's name. I remember him because the times I had to fill in with general population, he was the LT I'd report to. He comes in. We're all sitting down. They strike up a conversation with him. Y'all got all y'all's rounds made? Yep, we're good. And that turned my head immediately. Yeah, that's a lieutenant. You're supposed to say lieutenant, LT. That was put into us real hard in the academy. And me coming from the military, being reserve at the time as well, I was all about rank. Still am. So that kind of snapped me like, okay, they're not calling him by his rank. What's going on with that? What y'all got to do? I made up all kinds of excuses, did this, did that. He's getting ready to go over to medical. Okay, nobody's addressing me. LT, as he finishes up filling out his paperwork, looks over. You rookie? That's right, LT. Officer Carter. You need to start playing a what-if game instead of hanging out with these individuals. Turns, leaves. It's like, what? Looks a what-if game. Okay. Of course, they didn't say anything to me about it. Time goes by. I get on shift. I'm trying to remember. Oh, Lavalier. Officer Lavalier. Lieutenant Raymond used to call him Lava Lamp. He was the first boss that I worked with in SEG, and we were working Charlie Pod. It was first time on shift, working with the guy. We took all the inmates out, put them in the day rooms. Charlie Pod wasn't a bad pod to work. We pulled everybody out. We had us a little bit of downtime. We're hanging out at the picket. He's catching up on some of his paperwork. He's updating the board. I said, hey, Lavalier, man, you ever heard of the what if game? Yeah, you hadn't? Well, Lieutenant the other night, he mentioned it. I wasn't sure what it was. So, I'm not going to go into our whole conversation of what we did. Basically, what the what if game is, it's good for everybody working in a prison. You can what if a situation to death, sometimes to the point that it doesn't do you any good. In this situation, it does do you some good. What if an inmate takes me hostage? What if an inmate opens his cell? What if I'm walking by and an inmate's legitimately having a heart attack? What if I'm walking by and an inmate fakes that he's hanging himself? What if I'm walking by and a cell's flooding? What if I'm walking by and all of a sudden the power drops in the building and all the solenoids on the doors pop? All right. You can get it as bad as you want to, or you can make it as easy as you want to. What if I get a tray cart and I'm missing a tray? Do I go back to the kitchen and get it? How am I supposed to handle this situation? You're basically quizzing yourself. It's a really good tool to keep someone sharp. Every now and again, we'd get downtime. Sundays, you'd have some downtime. Sometimes, if you had a bunch of guys who weren't going to move to the day room, they didn't even want their shower, or if you were lucky enough working Alpha Bravo Charlie Pod and you had 2 officers, I'm going to start at 1, you start at 84, I'll meet you in the middle. Man, you could be done by 1 o'clock sometimes. Man, you had 2, 3, 4, 5. You had almost 5 hours left to do nothing but make security rounds and listen to the guys beat and bang. Those were the times where it was easy to sit and start getting chill. You kick back, hanging, sitting in the seat. I got this. I'm good. Thinking everything's all right. And there's always that one inmate they're watching. They're paying attention. They know when you let your guard down. And that's when they're going to try something later on. I was lucky enough it never happened to me. It has happened to other officers. I did a video about where it happened to an individual. Go back and check that one out if you want to. So the what if game, it was designed to keep you sharp. When you found yourself with some downtime, you found yourself, I'm done with my security round. I don't have to move anybody around. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to start thinking about the grocery list I got to pick up, or what am I supposed to get at commissary, or Susie Bob's supposed to go. No. When you're in the penitentiary, you don't think about anything but the penitentiary. You got to keep yourself sharp. You got to keep yourself motivated, and you got to stay always on that game. So when I had that downtime, I would play that what if game. What if I'm walking by and a cell gets ready to get popped? Inmate has the lock mechanism broken, and as I walk past, he slides that door open. Now I got a problem on my hands. What if I'm walking by and an inmate jocks the slot and he's got something ready to come out at it? I did a video about how that happened. It's one of the things that led up to me resigning. The what if game is something that you can use in all different kinds of aspects of life, but it would especially help keep you in shape and sharp running scenarios. I wish it was a thing that they would have taught in the academy. They probably just didn't have enough time for it. The academy's there to teach just nothing but policy, procedure. Me and Campbell would do this a lot of times when we were still good with each other. I'd what if him. We'd go make our round. Come back, down a water bottle. I'd have an answer. He'd have an answer for me. Then he would what if me. We'd go make our round. Come back, down a water bottle. I'd have an answer for him. If one of us didn't have an answer for what it was, we had to down an extra water bottle. It was a way to keep you motivated, keep you hydrated, keep you engaged with each other. It was nothing worse than working with a partner that you couldn't stay engaged with. Folks, I'm going to go ahead and end this right here. I know y'all got a lot going on. It's Christmas Eve. Man, I hope you guys are having a great day, staying safe, staying warm. Hope Santa's good to everybody. Santa was certainly good to me. I know, because I paid damn bills around here. Stay warm, stay safe. Merry Christmas to everybody. Hope this was entertaining for you guys. Look forward to seeing y'all in the next video. Everyone take care. Santa Carter's out.